What's up, everybody? This is the last installment of this topic. We got more to talk about this season, so we're going to close this one out with just a little bit more about non negotiables, old versions of ourselves and other people, having conversations. We're going to mix it up a little bit later on, but I had a little more to say about the topic, so let's get to it. Welcome back to another episode of the Brown Sugar Cafe podcast, the place where poetry meets conversation. I'm your host, Terrence P. Elmore. And before we get into today's topic, make sure you hit that plus sign so you don't miss an episode. Also, please subscribe to my blog, thebrownsugarcafe.blog. And if you find any value in this episode or any other episodes, make sure you leave a heartfelt review. So with that being said, let's get to it. So don't take these old versions of people and these old versions of yourself and use them for where you are now. If you've messed up, not that person anymore, completely different, why are you still holding that over your head? Why are you still beating yourself up about it? We all make mistakes. We're not perfect. Things happen. I mean, especially when you're praying and you ask for forgiveness. And once you say that prayer and you ask for forgiveness and you believe that you've been forgiven, it's gone. But you can't sit there and keep reliving this thing over and over again when you've already been forgiven. If there's somebody that you haven't talked to in a while, or you all had some type of, riff in your relationship or whatever, and you see them and they're pleasant, like nothing's happened, why are you holding that old version of them against them? Why are you holding on to that old version of them? Especially if you say you've forgiven them. If you have forgiven them and you're still holding on to this, you maybe need to go back and look and see if you truly did forgive them. Maybe there's a conversation that needs to be had that you never had. Maybe that's the time to have the conversation. Hey, excuse me, can I talk to you for a minute? I know we haven't spoken in a while, and when we last talked wasn't the best. I thought that I forgave you, but I realized that I haven't. And have a conversation. See where the problem was, what happened, and fix it. Yeah, you don't owe anybody anything, but you owe yourself, man. You owe yourself. How many times have you been wrong in the situation and haven't tried to fix it? You know you were wrong in the situation. You haven't tried to fix it because you didn't want to communicate. Or you just expect the other person to talk to you. Yeah, well, if they want to fix this, they'll come talk to me. Nah. It doesn't always work like that. And that's a sure sign of the relationship being one sided altogether. So many people aren't talking to friends and family because there was no communication. Nobody wanted to communicate. And life is too short, man. Every day, it seems like I'm hearing some bad news about people that I know personally. There's people losing their lives, people going to the grocery store and being targeted because of the color of their skin, children going to school and not coming home because somebody decided that they had the right to take their lives from them. And it's not some new trend. It's always been. It's just the information is just getting out there more and it's getting out there faster. But these things have always been happening. We're just paying attention to them more. We got to make the most of our time here with people. We got to make the most of our relationships with people. And I know with the pandemic, these last 2 years have been kind of weird. So we've lost touch and lost contact with a lot of people. I get that. We've become comfortable and accustomed to not really getting together like we used to. But one of my friends, he brought up a very good point, man. He was like, you have to be safe, but you can't live in a bubble. And I think a lot of us have done that. We've gotten into this bubble. We've gotten comfortable not seeing people as often as we used to. We've gotten comfortable not getting together as often as we used to. We don't even pick up the phone and call them. We started doing Zoom, at the height of pandemic. Everybody was having Zoom check-ins and Zoom meetings. Are we still having them Zoom check-ins? Are we still checking in on each other? Or do we think because more people are out and going places and traveling that everybody's good? Do we take that for granted? So check in with people, check in with yourself, check in with these versions that we're holding on to. The versions of ourselves, the versions of other people. Communicate, have conversations, find out where we are in our lives now, find out what things we're doing, find out how we can help each other. But we're not going to be able to do that if we keep holding on to these old versions of ourselves, these old non negotiables, these old versions of other people. We can't do it until we start communicating and really getting, real communication. We have to really communicate because when you communicate, you talk to learn, to understand. You don't have conversations just to get your point across. You talk to learn and understand. That's another part of communication. We don't really understand the people we're having conversations with. We go into conversations with preconceived thoughts, or I want to get my point across, so I'm gonna say it like this without actually listening to what the person is saying. You gotta pause, man. You gotta take the time and listen to what the people are saying. That's how you communicate. I know we want to get our point across, and that's cool. But when somebody's explaining something to you, listen from an open mind and an open heart. Actually listen to what they're saying. And if you don't understand what they're saying, let them know. Don't try to figure it out on your own if you don't understand. You got to communicate that. If you don't understand, tell the person you don't understand. And hopefully they'll get you to the point where you do understand what they're talking about. But there won't be any proper communication if both parties don't understand the other person's side of things. There has to be an understanding. You'll get your chance to explain your side or your ideas on the thought, but when somebody's explaining something to you, listen. Listen intentionally. Listen with the intent to understand. And so please, please, please remember those old versions of ourselves and other people could be the things that are holding us back, as well as those non negotiables. And we won't know until we communicate and really get to understand and learn who we've become and who other people have become. And we have to learn and get to know who we've become. We have to we have to give people the opportunity to know who we've become. We have to give them an opportunity to show us who they've become. And this isn't for everybody in every situation. Some people, and and that's nothing. You know the difference between people who you should have in your life and who you shouldn't. You just have to have an open and honest conversation. You know what people are out of your life because of pettiness versus the people who are out of your life because they did something. So it's time to come out of that pride. It's time to come out of that selfishness and let go of these old versions of ourselves and other people. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Brown Sugar Cafe podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Terrence P. Elmore, and this is the place where poetry meets conversation. Hit that follow button and turn on your notifications so you won't miss an episode. Check out my blog, thebrownsugarcafe.blog. Also connect with me on Instagram at thebrownsugarcafe. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and as always, remember, keep pushing forward.